and dried completely, we apply this old yellow ochre on the top as a second top coat. Nowadays, this type of color, deep old yellow ochre, often we see, though it's quite dark as a top coat, I think. So I recommend my students to use this color even lighter than the usual one, I mean regular one. This one is called 薄口 odo. That means lighter odo, lighter yellow ochre. So yellow ochre is the kind of color much closer to the soil, organic pigment. So such organic pigment is closer to the paper, and then it has an effect to strengthen the paper. And also the most important effect is brighter the color come on the top. So we need to apply this. For such a small piece, we don't need to have much. We dilute this again like the first Goffen white top coat. This much is good enough. Let me add extra amount. Okay, then so the first, this is very dry state. Like this, it's the texture is more similar to the soil. So first, we push and smash these chunks with the finger. Like this is smash and drag, smash strongly, and then smash and place strongly on the plate and drag, and make them into powder. Odo is very soft pigment, so with the finger, we can smash them and make them into powder easily. Be sure to not leave any piece of chunk. So you grind this pigment with a finger. Grind this pigment very well. Very. After this, we add Nihon-ga drop by drop. This is Nihon-ga. We make a old yellow oak ball. Since Nihon-ga is sticky, so ideally, please drop Nihon-ga drop right on the pigment. If it is stuck on the paper, on the plate, it's harder to come off. in this process too, be sure to not leave any piece of powder on your plate. So let all of them come together. When you like to add a little tiny drop of nikkawa, a little tiny amount of nikkawa, I do like this. Put some on the side of the plate. You see this? Then take some here like this. So you can adjust the amount of nikkawa you add to your pigment. Ideally, we want to keep cleaning up inside of the plate. So we know we gave the pigment the nikkawa entirely. And also the painting process become much easier. Okay, good enough. Then after this, so by the way, this is a state pigment and nikkawa glue mixed well. Then after this, place this aside of in the plate, and then give nikkawa little by little, then melt them, rub the surface and melt them into liquid. Like this. So in this process, all the moisture is come from only nikkawa. Every gofun, every order or yellow oak melted into liquid. And after this, you finally give water to this pigment. You stretch this pigment to the form you mostly like to have to apply on the plate with brush easily. This is too sticky. And for the regular paint, this much concentrated form is good enough to use. But this time, we use this for the second top coat. If the second coat was too thick, like this much, as a top coat, your painting look like yellowish. So we don't want to apply that much yellow underneath. So we dilute this more. Scoop new water with your middle finger and then apply water on your pointing finger. As showering and rinsing your finger, you also clean up the plate like this. Drag your, push your finger on the side of the plate and drag it. Inside of the plate should be cleaned all the time. Such a manner make the painting process become much easier. You can apply more. Keep cleaning up. The finger should be cleaned as well, always. Otherwise, the pigment, color pigment on the finger give dirt on the brush axis. And such a small dirt might cause accident on your painting. So be sure to have a clean finger. We can add more water. After pigment, nikawa mixed well, and then water extra, these three mixed well, you can give more amount of water. When you add a big amount of water, please add extra nikkawa too to not loosen the thickness. Mix them well again, over and over. Let's put them together. Very good. When you use this type of Sui-E enogu pigment, such a flake dry pigment, not like a sand, it's more closer to soil. When you use this type of pigment, we apply a lot more water to here, and then the rough part comes down, bottom of the plate. The lighter refined part float on the water. They come aparted. So the refined part has more bright color and won't disturb other colors come on the top. We like to use such a refined part. Leave this plate for a while, and then we wait they parted into two different states. So let's use this refined clear color part. See on the bottom, rough part sunk down. The color look dirty or dark. This is how we use. Put the tip of your bristle into this refined part, like 1/3 of length of bristle or less than half, and then the pigment automatically rise up. I recommend you to leave this water part in your Bristol. This time too, you place the tip right on the edge of underdrawn line. So you don't have to have yellow oak go out of the shape mistakenly. While erasing water puddle or even lightly stretch it, you apply this old yellow oak all over on the image where you are going to put the colors later. We apply this color evenly. Be sure not to scratch the surface of the paper with your Bristol. Take enough amount of pigment always, and then like a not like a scratching. You place your brush softly, gently. Like move your brush top to down. While erasing puddles. Every outlines of the image should be covered with this old yellow ochre completely. I recommend you to use soft brush. The bristle hair are made with much amount of sheep hair. Those brushes called 彩色筆 is appropriate. Saishiki literally means putting colors on. So that the brush is a very basic brush for Nihon-ga painting. I recommend every beginners in my regular lessons. I recommend students, my students in my regular Nihon-ga lessons, Nihon-ga painting lessons, to have large size of 彩色筆 and also smaller size of 彩色筆 as well. As a basic painting tool for Nihon-ga painting. For beginners. There are many different types of brushes we use for Nihon-ga painting. You begin with 彩色筆 is quite considered and usual. Because 彩色筆 has a rather shorter bristle hair, that which means easier to manage than other longer bristle brushes. Also, the white, this white hair is sheep hair. This white sheep hair is very basic materials for the brushes in Japan. To get used to use brushes for Nihon-ga painting, starting with 彩色筆 brush is quite good. No paddle. This part I had a lot amount of Gofen white. This part and this part. These two petals. And for these 4 petals too. Even in this stage, it looks different. The petal which had less amount of Gofen white still keep transparency. And the petals which had a lot amount of Gofen white, even I made ditches all over on the surface of the petal. Look untransparent and easier to make puddles, little tiny puddles all over on the petal. So it look dirty or not nice. But as an effect, you can choose this as one of technique. It's all up to you. Let's pick up some of lines, grass lines on the background to put this old yellow oak covered up. So I left these 2 or a couple lines on the ink color. Yellow oak tenders the impact of the black. Let's see how it happens if we used these roughly parts from the bottom of the plate. It's very muddy consistency it has. take a little more. It has dark color in it. Because this muddy state is heavy, so it's kind of hard to apply on the paper evenly. Let's put more amount and see what happens. Let's pick up here, this one too. This little leaf. Make it look heavy. This amount of Gofen white and then thick yellow oak this leaf has. Underline should be carefully varnished. these two lines for the stem of these flowers are left with the golden white top coat only. Without the yellow ochre. So we wait until the yellow ochre completely dry until the next day.